My name is Benjamin Brown. It is Monday, March 29th, 5 o'clock. I'm here in Brownsville, Texas, on the border of Mexico, and I'm going through kind of a lot. I actually didn't come here to come to Mexico, but I've been here before, and I've passed through this point in the gate to get into Mexico before, and I'm not really in a good shape. I was infected with HIV in Houston, Texas, and I know that part of the reason is that Texas is a state that is loyal to George Bush, who has somehow figured out a way to be something of a dictator here in the United States of America. Now, if I had a chance, I would cut off his head, and I would cut off the heads of his servants, and cut off the heads of his children, and cut off the heads of the head Magi, and cut off the heads of their children and their servants, and make completely certain that they were never ever capable of reproducing here ever again. Now, I know they have plans on framing me, and I know they have plans on raping me, and I'm not really scared of either. The truth is that I should be dead. I should have died about 5 years ago in a park in North Hollywood of cardiac arrest, because I was using crystal meth and I was injecting it intravenously along with heroin, and it completely wore out my heart. So somehow, when I was in Mexico, when I passed through these gates last time, I went into Matamoros, where I spent about 6 months, and then I found my way into DF, and I spent a couple months in DF, like 3-4 months in DF. I don't really exactly remember the time that I spent in Matamoros and the time that I spent in DF, but when I was there, they poisoned the dope that I was using, and it shut down my heart. And the truth is when I passed through these gates to go into Mexico, I was ready to die. Like I was being harassed by the American government and the FBI and the military and cholos and whoever. And what happened was I decided that I should do, because my father was a hippie and he was outspoken against the American government. There was a point in time where he was, just motivated and towards being anti-establishmentarian, or maybe against, just outspoken against the centralized government. So I decided that the right thing to do, because he had lived and worked in Mexico before, was to go in Mexico and embrace my Mexican ethnicity and die like a Mexican with the Mexicans. So there was this point in time where I was lying on the floor of this room, completely convinced that I was dying. And I was completely convinced that I was dying, and I guess these American soldiers, armed with ghost technology, crept in through the roof or through the wall of the room, because this ghost technology capacitates them to occupy space without being subject to the physical environment around them, which means they can walk through walls, they can be invisible. But I could see them, and they put a device in my head. And using that device in my head, they've been keeping me alive. Somehow they've managed to hook this device up to certain parts in my brain to control my consciousness, which makes it rather difficult for me to be aware at times. It makes it difficult for me to get high on normal drugs. and sometimes it makes it impossible for me to be high on caffeine. And it's also what's been keeping me alive. So I'm basically left with just two things that I'm completely certain about. There's two things that I'm completely certain about, and the two things are that God is the reason that this is happening to me, and God is the reason that I'm still alive. Regardless of how much these people torture me, regardless of whether they jump me, stab me, shoot me, send me to prison for the rest of my life, or rape me, which they're gonna go out of their way to try to do. If they can't do it, they're gonna figure something out. They raped my daughter. They probably raped my son. I'm not completely certain about it because he was circumcised, but I know that the way that this protection involving the circumcision goes is that you're still exposed. And I mean, all the Jews of Germany were all circumcised, and they were exterminated. So I know there's a chance that even though I circumcised myself, and even though I felt like God was the one that was calling them towards me, that there's still a chance that I'm exposed and that I might be killed. And I'm rather comfortable with losing my life, but I'm also much more comfortable with the idea of defending myself against these people, against the Magi, against the corrupt American establishment, against the British Crown, whoever I have to defend my children or to defend myself, because I'm really not okay with being a slave. I'm really not okay with serving anybody who's responsible for the rape of my children or the murder of my father, unless of course they're Jewish and Muslim, whom I would wholeheartedly submit to, because I know that there's a reason that I'm being challenged and there's a reason that I'm suffering. And the truth is, there's a lot of things in my life that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for coffee. I'm grateful that I had the experiences that I had with my father. I'm grateful that I know what it's like to have a little girl and to love her and to miss her. And I'm grateful that at this point in my life, I'm most interested about changing and being subordinate and loyal to God. Because as I understand it, the world as we know it is not the place that it appears to be. And every single person that's in charge of running a country or in running a group of people seems to be subordinate to the Magi conspiracy, who I'm not completely convinced is solely in charge, because I've been threatening them, I've been cursing them, and I'm still alive. Which means either they're waiting to cut off my head and turn it into a skull cup, or they're waiting to send me to prison or rape me, or they're gonna take their time torturing me and make sure that it really hurts and really, really burns. Because the truth is that even though they've given me AIDS, and even though I'm getting tainted food at restaurants, and I've got diarrhea, and I've eaten things that I don't know what it is, there's still some part of me that's really kind of enjoyed aspects of my experience. And it's like, for one thing, like, you know, Mexico really sucked. I was surrounded by people apparently I was related to, and they were really rude and they were disrespectful. But Mexico itself was beautiful, and there was moments where I really liked it. I liked getting high on coke. I liked smoking weed. I liked getting drunk and working, mixing cement and building a laundromat. I had fun being in the DF, getting drunk, begging for change. I was really rude, and I was obnoxious and lewd, and I put my hands on people in a way that I shouldn't have put my hands on them, and I was disrespectful. But the truth is that there's this part of me, and if I hadn't just been infected with AIDS, like, there's this part of me that would love to go across this border into Mexico and then go into a cantina and just hang out with some paisas and get to know them and just like get drunk with them and just, you know, serve them beers, like buy them beers and just chill with them. Just like, you know, there's a part of me that would love to like just go and buy some carne asada and just go over to the house and be like, hey, here's some beer, here's some carne asada. Let's just eat and drink and have a good time. Like, tell me where you've been. Tell me what you do for a living. Do you have a job? Can I go work with you? Like, I'll stay here for a week and just, you know, like that's what I want to do. Like, I want to get to know people. I want to get close. But obviously with the people that I'm threatening, the people that have been disrespectful to me and that are harming me, it's just impossible for anybody to get close to me. And the only people that I'm really left with are people that are loyal to them and people that are blatantly, obviously just not capable of intending me anything except harm. I'm in Mexico and I'm planning on going to Virginia. I've got a plane ticket and everything, and I'm going to confront the CIA and Director Cohen regarding all these things that have happened to me and all these things that are happening to me, because there's a chance that I'm at the center of an operation that's taken more than 500 years to accomplish, and it involves the establishment of the United States of America, and it involves the Roman Catholic Church. Again, it involves the Magi conspiracy, and there's a chance that there might be some involvement regarding Jewish and Muslim conspiracies and maybe even Eastern religion conspiracies. But from a lot of different perspectives, I might be the only reason that these people have a country. And if that's the case, then, you know, I have a right to stand up to Director Cohen and the Bush administration, which has somehow managed to figure out how to remain in power long after their executive representative has left office, which I'm not gonna lie is a little impressive, but probably not that impressive, because all it really means, I guess, is that he's loyal to the Vatican and loyal to the Magi. So they're probably not the impressive ones. But either way, I'm here in Mexico, and like I really kind of want nothing more than to cross the border and go and hang out and, you know, maybe just see what's going on over there. But the truth is there's a chance they won't let me through, and there's also a chance that if I cross the border into Mexico, they won't let me back into the United States. Now, I had tried to get into Mexico. I caught a plane from New Jersey into DF, and when I got to DF and I got off the plane and I was walking through customs, the Mexicans that were working customs that night, some of them were related to this person that I got to know under the name of J. Paulos, which is probably not his original name. He's a Native American and Arab in descent, connected to the Magi and the Roman Catholic Church. But some of them were related to him, and so it was obvious that there was some Magi and Vatican and FBI involvement. And they wouldn't let me in. So they put me back onto an airplane, and they sent me back to Houston, and that was actually where I got infected with AIDS after I drank a beer that had been laced with antifreeze. I avoided going to the hospital all morning long. And then sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock, like it felt like I had no choice but to leave. And I was like actually completely willing to die in a park there too. Like I found a little park and I was like lying down and I'm just gonna lie here and die here. Like everybody can go screw themselves. And I started throwing up and it became a little bit more dramatic. So I said, you know what, maybe I just better go to the hospital. Maybe there's a chance that I can live. So I went to the hospital, and when they drew blood, the needle that they used had somehow been infected with HIV, and I know that I have HIV because I took drugs, and the drugs like literally somehow expedited the infection of my liver. So the thing that they're doing to me is apparently, even though I'm not a descendant of King David, they're still planning on doing this Revelations prophecy and keeping me at the center of their prophecy and doing these things to me. And I really don't understand how they could do such a thing if the prophecy isn't a righteous prophecy. And not only is it not a righteous prophecy and not of the God of Israel, I'm not a descendant of King David, but they're still intent on probably blowing up Los Angeles and California and using me as the means to destroy the economy, and not only using me to destroy the economy, but using me as the reason to starve some people to death, even though there's a chance that they might be good people and they might have good intentions, or maybe that they're being influenced, or maybe they had no intention on doing some of the messed up things that they've done. Because the truth is there's a lot of things that I've done that are definitely questionable and definitely things that I'm not proud of. I mean, I've experimented sexually with men, and apparently those were things that I was influenced into doing, but I mean, like, it doesn't really bother me anymore because I'm not attracted to men. I don't jerk off thinking about getting fucked in my ass. Excuse my language. I don't think about men. I mean, you can look at all of my internet history. You can look at all my internet history from when I was a horny little teenager up until the point where I was a horny adolescent, and none of the pornography I ever looked up was ever transvestites. It was never homosexuals. It was always, girls, women, and older women. And I'm not saying that to appeal to anybody. I'm saying that just simply because it's the truth, and I'm not interested in indulging my sexual appetite with anybody anyway. And it's not just because I'm infected with AIDS, but one of the things that I am grateful for is that I've realized that the way that people are and the way that things are is honestly not necessarily beneficial or conducive of men behaving like men. It's men aren't supposed to go around having sex with everything that moves. Men aren't supposed to just indulge their sexual appetite with anything that shakes their tail at them. Men are supposed to behave like men, and that's something that I want to do, and that I've been trying to do, and it's something that I've been trying to explain and express to people, that we're not meant to behave like animals. We're meant to be something more. And I did just such nasty things. I just did such terrible things. Like when I was a kid, they totally got me into this cartoon Yu-Gi-Oh, and I got into this character called the Dark Necrophere, and I thought I was looking for like a hentai picture of this Dark Necrophere, but necrophilia came up, and I don't know if it was that I was actually aroused. Obviously, I wasn't really aroused by a dead body in the sense that I was aroused by a dead body, but somebody just wanted to make sure, or make with great certainty, that there was people that honestly weren't capable of respecting me or embracing me, pious people that weren't capable of respecting me or embracing me. So I masturbated to like a dead body, like two times I think it happened. But obviously I'm not interested in having sex with dead bodies, and any more than I'm interested in having sex with anybody at this point. There's just really there's people that I'm interested in, but it's not the way that like you would think. It's something else. It's more of an intellectual interest. It's more of an interest in legacy. I'd really like to have children with a Jewish woman. And the stories that I've been like kind of hearing, it's really like tragic and really dramatic. And it's I heard a story about this Jewish guy who went and studied at the yeshiva after washing dishes there, and right after he learned like the final things that he learned, he was murdered. He was killed. And but that was like the last accomplishment. That was the thing that he was successful in accomplishing, was that he studied the Talmud, the Tanakh, and he learned. And I was just really kind of inspired by that story, and I got even kind of a little bit jealous because I realized that maybe I didn't have the same amount of devotion, because I mean there's just so much time that like I could be praying or that I could be studying, and I feel like I'm not really applying myself. But the truth is, it's not because I don't want to apply myself, because I wish I had the books, I wish I had clean books, but all my books get laced with bad information by the American government, which is why I'm going to Virginia, so that I can call them out on my diarrhea and my bad books. And there was just so much that like more that I felt like I could have been doing, and I just like it felt like I wasn't doing enough, and there's all these things that like just really make it rather difficult, because the truth is that like I heard all these other stories about like Jewish people and what they went through, and like I understand that it's not going to be easy. Like I know that like that's like the point that a lot of people are trying to make, is that just because you have God doesn't make things easier. Like if anything, like to be Jewish is like a difficult task. Like this isn't something that you just pick up and start doing. It's not easy. People challenge you, people work against you, people spit in your coffee, people lace your food with things that you don't want to eat, and people feed you things that you would rather not eat and that you're not supposed to eat. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating even with where I'm at right now, and I know that there's a certain level of comfort that they're probably going to take away from me, and it's just like it's not really deterring me from wanting to have children with a Jewish woman, Jewish girl, Jewish females. And one of the reasons is that if my bloodline has been used for the past 600 years for the purpose of validating the Revelations prophecy, then there's some person that has decided to pass my bloodline off as their quote-unquote Holy Grail, which I couldn't possibly be, because I'm not a descendant of Christ, and because I'm not a descendant of King David, and because according to the legend or the myth, Christ was a descendant of King David. But the point is that these Magi, they didn't, or the Vatican, they didn't just see an English family at random and pick them and say, we're going to just, take these guys and we're going to just take these guys and we're going to do to them what we intended to do to the descendant of King David. And that's what they did. That's not what they did. But that's what they did, is they tried to pass me off as their Holy Grail. And I'm not a descendant of King David, but I believe that at some point in time, I must have had some Jewish ancestry of some kind. And it's not just little aspects about my appearance, but it's the fact that there were Grail legends that implied that at some point in time these people went looking for the Holy Grail. And there was like some History Channel video that I watched where they explained that King Arthur and his entourage came back from the quest for the Holy Grail empty-handed, and that they came back with people, and nobody really said anything about these people or where they came from or what. So that might have been pure manipulation, but the point is that there's absolutely no way that they picked a family at random and decided just to turn them into the Holy Grail. There had to have been some connection to Judaism and some connection to Christianity in some way. I mean, where are these people going to go looking for the Holy Grail? They're not going to go to England. They're going to go looking where there's Jews and where there's Arabs, and that's where they went. So there's a chance that I have Arab ancestry and a chance that I have Jewish ancestry, just like there's a chance that there's Mexicans out there that have Jewish ancestry. I heard somewhere that during the Spanish Inquisition that there was a bunch of Jewish Spanish families, Sephardic families, that were forced to convert to Christianity, and they changed their last names to these names that were like Virgen and de Guadalupe or Cruz, like all these different names associated with Christianity. So there's a bunch of Mexicans that have no idea that they're actually descended from Spanish Jews, because that's where those Spanish last names came from. And that's just something that I heard, which means that it's not something that I studied or that I read in a book. It's something that was told to me, which means that there's a bunch of Mexicans in Mexico that have no idea that they have Jewish ancestry and have no idea that they're doing something wrong by worshiping San Judas or worshiping La Virgen de Guadalupe or worshiping a crucified Christ on a cross. They have no idea that these things are pagan idols, and that the God of their ancestors, has a problem with what they're doing, and that and they might be better protected or better suited to deal with their challenges if they were circumcised and they were worshiping the God of Israel. So, Benjamin Wilfred Brown. I was born May 1st, 1989, at St. Mary's Hospital, as far as I know. The birth certificate that I have says Santa Marta, but my father told me St. Mary's Hospital in East Los Angeles. So I have no real way of even knowing where I was born any more than I know where it is that I come from. And there was a point in time where I figured that maybe, I should, instead of treating, the head Jewish family involved in these conspiracies and involved with all this stuff, with hostility, that maybe I should, maybe I didn't know everything that was going on, and that maybe I should be understanding, and maybe they'd be able to communicate to me my Abrahamic ancestry, or my Jewish ancestry. Because if anybody's going to tell me whether I have Jewish ancestry or not, it's probably the Rothschilds. And maybe not even them, because there's a good chance they've done a lot of bad things and they might be getting blackmailed. And the truth is, they might have no interest in helping me, and I might just be a real problem for the establishment of the Davidic throne. I might just be a real problem for Jews. I mean, it's kind of obvious that whatever it is that they're pressuring me and manipulating me into doing is not really beneficial for the Jews completely, because everybody I keep telling that they're being genetically engineered and their children are being watched as they masturbate, and that their wives are cheating on them because they're being influenced into cheating on them, like none of these people seem to care. Like, they just kind of ignore it, and they either already knew or they just don't have any intention of attacking the people that have been abusing me. And a lot of them are people that are close to me and around me because they work for the people that are abusing me. So there's really no way for me to be a voice and tell people that are living in ignorance of how oppressed they are, how much help they need, and how much of a mess America and the world really is. And I need to figure out how to express myself and communicate with the people that don't know what it is that's going on, but they're just doing everything in their power to make sure that I'm not capable of doing that. So I don't have any way of knowing whether or not the people that I'm sending messages to or making phone calls to or giving letters to know any of the things that I'm telling them already. But regardless of whether they knew or not, regardless of what it is that happens after that situation, I feel like it's my responsibility to say something and to do something. And one of the reasons was I realized right away that from the time that I was a small child, I was conditioned by these people into being maybe not necessarily selfless, but more interested in trying to make a difference and trying to stick up for people, or being more concerned with the situation that, you know, the people that are more often ignored, are cared for. And it might be for the sole purpose of validating, you know, some sort of, in some weird way, the Christian faith or the Catholic faith. But I have no interest in being involved with Christianity and Catholicism or Egyptian mythology, because I just found out the other day, I mean, I had no interest in Christianity and Catholicism because I knew that I had learned that, or it was taught to me, that it was created for the sole purpose of enslaving a spiritually concerned demographic. So knowing that, I did my best to tell people around me the things that I knew about Christianity, to kind of like get my foot in the door, and then, you know, kind of be like, hey, by the way, did you know that Christianity was totally meant to make us slaves for these people, and that, you know, the Roman Catholic Church and the Magi have no interest in making their servants smarter, no interest in letting us be original, or no interest in letting us behave like anything else other than animals and consumers and you know, mindless, you know, baboons or whatever. And there's absolutely no way that I can in any way benefit from idolatry. And that's something that I learned last night. It's the reason that I left the Ozanam Center this morning. And it's the reason that I'm going to be sleeping out on the street for the next 17 days until my flight to Virginia. And it's the reason that I'm not going to go to homeless shelters that are associated with Christianity and Catholicism. I mean, I already knew that the Roman Catholic Church was the enemy. I honestly, it just, for whatever reason, it just did not dawn on me when I saw the statue of the Virgin Mary there. It just did not dawn on me that it was a Roman Catholic Church operated place. And after I looked it up last night, I was like, the Catholic diocese, and I was just like, oh, I got to get out of here. But it was also that I looked up what do you do if your Rebbe is a pagan idolater? And when I went down, it said that in no way can you benefit from idolatry. So I'm a little curious about how some of the Jews in America, like, I've been kind of persevering and been financially successful if they're in a country that was established for the sole purpose of validating a prophecy associated with Egyptian idolatry. Like wouldn't they in some way be doing something wrong by living here? I don't understand why there's a Jewish community in the state of Virginia when whoever established the state of Virginia was obviously ISIS cult, or obsessed with the ISIS cult. And I thought about it a little bit, and I figured that maybe what it was they didn't have any idea how they were planning on pulling off the virgin birth. So what they figured they would do was they would just have someone be born in Virginia, and they could get away with saying, oh, they were born to a virgin, which is kind of what they did to me. I mean, I was born at St. Mary's Hospital, but I mean, I'm not Jesus, and I'm not the Messiah, and I'm not a descendant of King David, and I kind of embrace the idea of just being a precursor to everything.